Folks, welcome to Cooking and Crafting with Michelle. Today I'm going to show you how somebody like me with cerebral palsy and has difficult dexterity makes taco meat. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is get all my stuff together. Here goes. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy, I'm just trying to find the best spot for my phone. Alright, first I got a large heavy bottom Dutch oven for on top of the stove. I get all my ingredients together first before I start preparing. I'm going to go now and get the meat out of the fridge. Today I'm using lean ground beef. I also put onions and peppers and other vegetables chopped finely in my taco meat. That way I get vegetables into my children. You don't have to, just as you don't have to use lean ground beef. You can use any ground meat you want. You can use ground turkey, ground chicken, ground pork even. I've done that. I've also combined ground pork and ground beef together. Alright, I'll be back with you in a second. I'm just going to get the rest of the ingredients. Okay folks, I'm back. I got my ingredients together. Here we go. I have my Dutch oven with a tablespoon of oil in it. I have a tablespoon and a half of bulk taco seasoning, or you could use one of those packages. I have a cup of carrots, approximately, a cup of celery, approximately, and I'm going to put a half a cup of onion in. And there's my ground beef. Okay, to start this, I'm going to take my Dutch oven off the rolling table I have that's lower than my stove, and I'm going to put it on the stove and turn the stove on and let the oil heat up. Heating my pot to saute my vegetables. I usually have it on medium-high. So we'll wait until that warms up and then we'll start putting in the ingredients. I will take the pot off the stove and put it on my rolling cabinet because it's heat proof. That way I don't have to work over the hot burner. But be careful if you do this because it gets very warm. Okay folks, my pot is good and hot now. I'm going to add my carrots that I also chopped myself, and I will demonstrate that at the end of the month. Also, I find it's cheaper and they're fresher that way. Now I'm going to add my celery pieces. Oh, it doesn't look like I chopped them up, so I'm going to have to do that right now. I'm going to use a pair of scissors, but because it's easier for me, but if you want to chop them up with a knife, you go right ahead. Again, everything is on my lower table, the table that's lower than my stove, so that if I need to sit down, I can. So if you're in a chair and you have trouble putting stuff in the pot on the stove, maybe you should have a small table that is heat proof or has a cutting board on it that you can put a warm pot on. So you can do the same as I'm doing. I'll be back shortly. Let me just get this done. Okay, I have all my veggies in my pot. Now I'm going to put it back on the stove and saute it for a little while before I add the meat and the taco seasoning and garlic. As I said before, I'm able to stand at the stove, so here is my pot on the stove. Gonna saute the vegetables. But here is a look at the table that I have beside my stove so that I can work at it, because my counters are too high for me to use to move stuff to the stove. Alright folks, you want to saute your vegetables till they thaw out if they're frozen, or until they're just soft if they're fresh. Mine are frozen fresh, so I still have to saute them till they thaw. And then we'll add our meat to the mixture, and I'll show you that when I do it. These are my vegetables sauteing. If you could only smell it in here, it smells absolutely divine. I'm going to shortly put the meat in, but I'm going to let them saute for a little bit longer. And I've taken my pot off my stove so I can add my ground meat. So here goes. There's the ground meat. Dexterity issues make it difficult for me to open the package, so I'm going to stab it with my scissors. Sorry about that, people listening to headphones. Now we're going to put the meat in the pot. Again, this is lean ground beef. As you can see, the beef is in the pot. Now I'm going to put my oven mitt back on and place it back on the stove to fry it up. And be careful, because if you're like me, you left the burner on. You're right beside it, so it's not a whole lot of a problem. But if you have to move away from your stove, then I suggest that you turn the burner off when you take your stuff off. See, so it's back on my messy stove, and I'm gonna saute it for a little bit, and I'll come back when I'm adding my garlic and taco seasoning. The beef is coming along nicely, and if your kids won't eat it if there's vegetables in it, mince them. Put them through the blender, they'll never know they're there. My ground beef is almost cooked, but it's lean ground beef, therefore there's not a lot of moisture in there right now, so I may have to add a half a cup of water to mix the taco seasoning with. I will let you know. I removed the mixture from the stove and turned the stove down to minimum so that it can simmer once I add the taco seasoning and the garlic. Oh, there may be enough liquid in there. Let's put the seasoning in and see. There may be enough liquid, see? That's useful and that's flavor. In goes my minced garlic, which I minced myself, and my taco seasoning, which I buy in bulk. Oh. From what I can tell, I don't need any more liquid. I just got to mix it in more and put it back on the stove for a few minutes. I'll be back and show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, my meat and taco seasonings are all mixed together. I'm just going to let it simmer for 20 minutes to make extra sure that all the meat is cooked and all the flavors melt together.